all over Europe. So I realized we couldn't do anything about it. We couldn't have people, we couldn't hire in young people, whether it was men or women, to run a company, talk 4 languages, and be servicing our customers, because they wanted to go home every evening. And they could either do it this way or that way, and by the way, I'm going home now.
So you had to close.
3 days ago, I heard a guy say on radio that we were educating in school and kindergarten our next generations to be kontanthjælpsmodtagere. What is that in English?
Welfare. So
Welfare receivers. Yeah. End of story.
speak up, please.
I think I have some quite opposite impressions of young people today. Maybe there are diverse trends, but I see young people emerging now that are definitely much more mature, much more spiritually developed, and also much more interested in helping and participating than my generation. I think when I was young, and I'm 56 now, it's some years ago, there was a lot of confusion and a lot of immaturity. I think we have, maybe the waters are splitting, I don't know, but I think we should acknowledge also we have some young people now that are really, really, really worth supporting and that will contribute in a very positive way to our society. And I think it's funny when we talk about gift economy and kind of, how can you say, maybe love is to compassion economy, that's the word you use. If you look at some of the internet games like World of Warcraft and other games, social games, they are actually based on people helping each other, people joining together, using different crafts, and also there are no distinction between gender and age. I think that's quite interesting actually, and I think maybe we could be inspired by looking at some of these structures actually, and how to take positive trends into creating a gift economy. We have a Swedish author called Astrid Lindgren, who's very famous, who's written children's books. Pippi Longstocking, I don't know if people know this. She also wrote about Emil from Lønneberg. And Emil, he was a very unruly boy, always getting into trouble, but his intentions were always very, very pure and very compassionate. And in one of the stories, she writes that one day in school, Emil, and this story, I think it's set in the 1840s or something like this, or a little bit later. One day Emil went up to the teacher and he just kissed her, smack on the mouth, it says. And then the teacher is really shocked and everybody asks him, why did you do this? Why did you do that? And Emil says, well, I think I did it out of goodness.
I was looking for Emil every day. Where is Emil?
And I think
Where
we need
is Emil?
to work a little bit on some Emil ethics. We have to look how to develop this.
Living like her. You see, fantastic. It's so fantastic.
I just like to add to the
Louder, please.
online games, if I may. I just like to say 2 cents about the online games. I think it's not compassion. Actually, I'm an economist, so like these games are designed for your rational maximization calculations to force you into cooperation. It's not compassion. It's actually self-interest. Even if it looks like this, and it's actually reinforcing antisocial behavior. Because you actually see the other people, not you don't help them because you like them so much. You help them in order to get the best out of the game. So like you to optimize your character. So it's really, it looks like it's nice, but it's not. So,
Maybe I think that
Yeah, and-
perhaps. It also depends on the user.
yeah, of course.
It depends a lot of.
But I mean, the game structure is built to bring you into that direction. So
Certainly we have to admit there's a lot of social engineering going on, which is the public is not made privy to. In other words, the powers that be have an agenda. There's an American woman, she wrote a book called Dumbing Down of America. Her book's on the internet for free. I think that's the title of the website, the domain name, Dumbing Down or Dumbing Down of America. And she demonstrates in footnotes, references from 1900, how they're purposely not teaching young people today. Gives one a lot of concern. Okay, anyway, I'd like to shift gears here now for the second part. And I'd like to speak about the spiritual requirements or the spiritual aspect of creating an economics of compassion. First of all, what's compassion? Generally means empathy or concern for others. That I have concern for you because I see you as a person like me. I'm a person, you're a person, I have pain, you have pain, I feel pleasure, you feel pleasure. So we extend our own experience to others. That that emotion, I guess we could say, of empathy is not something that's universally experienced. Now I'm going to go back to the gunas a little bit, okay? So anybody did not hear about the gunas yesterday? Should I repeat that all?
No, we heard about it.
Okay, basically, consciousness determinants. In other words, there's influences. How we associate with the material energy influences our consciousness, our state of being, our way of understanding, our reasoning, and so on. This is explained both in the Bhagavad Gita and in Srimad Bhagavatam. I explain it in quite detail in my book in the first chapter. We explained briefly about the three modes, sattva, rajas, and tamas. In tamas, let's say we'll take rajas first. In rajagun, rajagun means more. I want more. Okay? I want to be better. I want to be the best. I am better than you. I have more than you. And because I have more than you, I'm better than you. This is the consciousness that develops by the influence of rajagun. Our society is predominantly influenced by rajagun, right? We want to have unlimited growth on a finite planet. This is the problem we complain about, or some people are complaining about. You can't do that. But this concept of infinite growth won't go away because these people are influenced by rajagun. It's simply the way they see and understand the world. They can't see in a different way because they don't have sufficient sattva. With tamagun, not only do I see us as unequal, let's say in rajagun, let me finish there. In rajagun, I see a different person, let's say different bodies in a different way. A man I see different than a woman. I'll see a rich person differently than I'll see a poor person. I'll see, let's say, a person who has ability to impact my life differently than a person who has no ability to impact my life seemingly. So these distinctions are made unconsciously, practically speaking. They just come about as a way of, I think this is the way the world is. This is my opinion. It's not that there's any rationale to back it up. It's just simply the way things are. So, I see differently, different person in a different body. When we go to the influence of tamagun, then I see others as persons that can serve me. You are here to give something to me, or for me to take something from you. And so this is how they see the world. Now there's a lot of things appearing on the internet and in the media these days about sociopaths and psychopaths. Maybe some of you have seen some of that. In the cover of Psychology Today magazine when I was coming over from the States, I picked it up because it was all about, had an article, the front page article was about sociopath. A person who had, now sociopaths or psychopaths, these are people who basically have no conscience. They have no rudder from between what's right and wrong. What's right is what I want to do. And what's wrong is anybody that gets in my way. That's how they see the world. And of course, maybe you've heard recently that there's a lot of people saying how these kind of people, they're very charismatic, they have a lot of ability. They're generally, they find it easy to work their way up the corporate ladder, and they're running many of our corporations and our banks and in government positions. Is there any question then why we have such problems in the world? If we want to have compassion, it's necessary to have some goodness, some sattva. Because in sattva, I see all living beings equally. May not see them on a spiritual basis, but I'm egalitarian. I see everybody as being a worthy individual just as I am. I don't see myself as being anybody special. And I have compassion for others. If somebody is suffering, I feel their pain. So when we talk about economics of compassion, we have to know, where does compassion come from? What's the source of it? It doesn't just happen by chance, and it's not universally distributed by the laws of nature. And we do know how to increase that. Now, again, our culture is predominantly in Rajagun and Tamagun. The foods that we eat, practically everybody's drinking liquor, smoking, eating meat, these things, gambling, which is a big one also, sex outside of marriage with anybody and everybody. All of these things bring the influence of Tamagun. And this is now normal life. Because it's normal life, the predominant atmosphere, we could say, is influenced in this way. And so we see, I'll give you an example from America. I don't know what you hear in the news here, but in the States, they're always trying to find some reason to go to war and attack Iran, after we've already beat up on Iraq. And of course, things are going on in Syria, the other African nations.
Libya, Afghanistan.
Yeah. So, they try to make it out like they've got nothing to do with that, but not really. So, why are they doing that? Well, peak oil, anybody? Right? Right, the oil's running out. Well, where's all the oil? Just happens to be in the Middle East over there, right? Just happens to be in that place that America's like trying to have regime changes, as we say these days. So there's a connection there. Those people are there to serve us. This is a predominant consciousness. And they convince, through their propaganda, they convince the American people that now a lot of people are starting to say, yeah, we should go attack Iran.
But we all know all these things that you are telling us now.
Yeah.
Yes. Why are you telling us these things that we know already?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm using this as an example to show that in ignorance, in Tamagun, I see other people to serve me.
Yes.
Other people's purpose. Their purpose is to serve me. Or that I can take what they have. Right? I'm just using that as an example. Coming back to let's say, contrast that with, if you want to have economics of compassion, how are you going to do that? Now, Yesterday, Charles and Buddha did not have that conversation that I thought they were going to have, conversation about the origin of money. There's a book called The Creature from Jekyll Island. If you read that book, it tells you exactly how the debt money system was created in America. If you haven't seen it, you can go on the internet, or if you haven't read it, you can go on the internet and just do a search for that, and you can watch the video. A lot easier. I've got some of those videos on my website, spiritual-economics.com, and you go to the tab, Your Economic Education, spiritual-economics.com. They've created a debt money system specifically for the purpose of extracting wealth from people without their even knowing it. The best slave is the one who thinks they're free. The situation in the world today is set up exactly the way that the powers that be want it to run. So, we don't have an economics of compassion, at least in America. I think you have a little more compassion here, you're more socialist. But in general, worldwide, they're even tightening the screws more, right? All this economic problems, this did not happen by chance. This economic debacle in 2008 was deliberately created. And on my website, you can find a paper called Economic Chernobyl, in which I trace out exactly what was done to put the pieces into place so that they could pull the plug on the economy and destroy it deliberately.
But that was a good thing, wasn't
Depends on which percent you are in.
it? I lost 2.5 million that day when they flew into the towers. Yes,
Yeah,
yes. I still smile.
okay.
Yes.
Anyway, what's my point here? My point is that things are not going on the way they are by chance. There's deliberate, conscious intention behind what's happening in this world. And if we want to create an economics of compassion, there must be also deliberate, conscious intention. It's not going to happen by chance just because we come together and we say, yeah, that's a good idea, sure, that's a great idea. Well, we're going to have to step up to the plate and do something. To bring it around to, I said I wanted to talk about the spiritual aspect. We are all spiritual beings, and Bhagavad Gita explains that we have a consciousness that's based on our identity. Our identity is based in relationship to the body. I'm a man, you're a woman. I'm older, some of you are younger. Somebody's rich, somebody's poor. So many designations that we have that are in relationship to the body, which we identify with. This is who I am. We don't have any independent concept of ourselves other than our relationship with all the peoples and things of this world. The purpose of self-realization, by the way, is to establish an eternal identity or an eternal relationship with the Supreme Being, so that one can transfer themselves out of this world at the end of their life. Anyway. So we'll call it false ego. It's my ego, my sense of self, but it's false because it doesn't belong to me eternally. It's only lasts as long as the body lasts. Next life, I may be a different gender, born in a different part of the world, and so on and so on. So it's a false ego. Now this false ego has two aspects. I, who I am, the body, and there's another aspect, mine. What do I have? What do I own? If I have more, I am more. If I have more than you, I'm more important to you. The people at maybe the lower end of the spectrum generally may not think that way, but the wealthy, and especially the super wealthy, in fact, do. There's a book written by Ferdinand Luddenberg, The Rich and the Super Rich, in which he explains that the mentality of the super rich is they think that they are very special. In fact, they're entitled to own everything, what they have. And why? Because it serves their sense of false ego. Now, all of us are affected by this to one extent or another. And these things generally, let's say, may not show up in the ordinary course of affairs. But if we're put into a tight spot, they may in fact well show up. And we'll see this when we try to create an economic situation. In other words, let's look at it from this point. How would we do that? Let's say we as a group, we decide, yes, we all feel ourselves as one family, we want to make a commitment to each other, to take care of each other, and we're going to go for that. So what do? We're going to make one bank account, and everybody's going to take all their money, we're all going to put it in one account, and unite our interests. Now, generally when I speak like that, I see people like pulling back going, what? What's the problem with that?
Not all people are trustworthy.
Yeah, right. Do I, I mean, we hardly see that even two people, right? When they get married, they can combine their economic interests. Many times, husband and wife, they keep separate accounts.
No, that's not the problem.
What's
The
the
problem
problem?
is that when men were working and women were sitting back home, sitting or working, whatever you call it, you cannot run a family without both man and wife, and it's a very fine group. I love that group. Nothing bad in that. But when women went out working, they said, now we are earning our own money. That's where the difference come in.
Yeah.
Women are, we didn't talk about that yesterday when we talked about competition. Women are competitive. They are competing within a group. Men are not competing. They will take what they take outside and bring it home and say, here it is for you. But women go out and earn their own money, use their money. There are statistics on this. It's not very funny, but they're using it on their hair and their clothes and their shoes and the babies.
Okay, ladies.
Not all women, but 99.9% of the women. Maybe you are the one.
What do you think, ladies? Any response?
Who made this
I think
scientific survey?
You always say this is not to be discussed, right? You will not realize that big figures are bigger than small figures. So if 90% of women are doing this is really, really, really bad. All advertising in the world, 80% of advertising in the world, professional advertising, are made exactly to address women, to hit their feelings, to make them release their own money. End of speech.
Ladies, response?
Women are competitive and men are not competitive?
Yeah.
This is.
That is.
And I don't agree with them that they're not competitive.
Women have
No,
been-
this is a discussion we could.
Yeah.
What you're saying actually underscores my point about I and mine. Did I say I and mine? Did I use that phrase?
What?
I and mine. The false ego, my false ego.
Just said that.
I am the body and I am what I have. So the last point I was making is we all are affected by this to one degree or another.
Right.
And so we naturally identify with what we think we have. This is my money. And, yeah.
But when you say it like that, it sounds like it's only material stuff that I can own. I think one of the things that is ownable is also power.
Uh-huh.
And for example, if I could can somehow get a little more power without having money, but by being charming and having a lot of knowledge, it's also a way of getting the power. And if we were a group and saying all people are going to share this money, still some people would feel maybe they didn't get as much of the cake, because a way of getting power is to be charming or being able to convince other people.
So this is part of the I, power. I am powerful. That's the I part of the false ego. Now, the reason I bring this up, because if we want to establish an economics of compassion, an economics where I'm concerned about you as much as I'm concerned about myself, these two things are going to enter into the picture. I and mine. Who am I? Am I powerful? Do I get my way? Or this is mine and I'm not going to share it? These things are going to come up. So we talked a little bit yesterday. I asked a question about, you weren't there, in our conference there. So I asked, how many people are interested in a gift economy? A lot of hands went up. Maybe 30, more than 30 hands went up. And I say, how many of you actually want to do something to establish a gift economy? And also the same hands went up. Now, it's a nice idea. We have good intention. Yes, let's do something to make the world a different place. But when we actually enter into that, I and mine is going to come into the picture, and we're actually going to have to take a look at ourselves. And this is where the rub comes, huh? Who am I? Whoever I think I am as an individual, right now, maybe my own self-delusion, and it's independent of what you think because I'm independent of you, right? I have money, I don't need you. You have your money, you don't need me. Whatever you think of me doesn't mean any much. You know, okay, we get along socially or we don't. That's not significant because I'm not dependent on you for making my way in the world. But when we talk about in economics of compassion, we have to first, there has to be some sattva, some goodness, otherwise I'm not going to have the empathy. And then how close, or how let's say the mechanism, the manner in which that sharing takes place, the manner in which that empathy is expressed is very, very important. In our culture today, we do it in the terms of giving donations. Okay? And the Western countries, people have money, and they certainly, they're charitable. They give for causes. By the way, anybody give a donation for lunch? Anyway, I'm not answering that. We're charitable to an extent, but then when we begin to combine, if we want to create a unit of people who say, let's work together and create an economics of compassion in which we can give a model, an example to the world, we're going to have to then start taking a look at each other very closely. Because, especially in a gift economy, I am dependent on you, and you are dependent upon me. And because I'm dependent on you, I want you to be a person of virtue. I want you to be a dependable person, responsible. I want you to be truthful. It's important to me because it impacts my life depending upon the quality of your person. Money destroys that relationship. Money comes in and it destroys it because I'm no longer dependent on you. You can go to hell. I don't care. It's your problem, not mine. So, the point is that when we begin to combine together, we're going to be faced with our foibles, our real self. We have to take a look at ourselves. This is nice because it's certainly can be purifying, right? Our friends can point out our faults very easily, faults that we can't even see in our